Diego Pavia is one of the more interesting players to emerge as of late.
Diego Pavia peeing on a Lobo logo. He gives a middle finger to another Lobo logo while they're at it.
Love him or hate him, Diego Pavia is here to stay. And we're gonna tell you some interesting facts about him that you probably don't know. Pavia was born and raised in New Mexico. Yep, the man was born and raised in New Mexico, and he grew up in Albuquerque, the state's largest city. Pavia grew up with just his mother raising him and his two other brothers and one sister. He described his life as if it were a real-life Grand Theft Auto, as Albuquerque's South Valley can be a bit dangerous of a neighborhood. Pavia credits his mom, Antoinette Padilla, for instilling him a winner mentality, as she is a nurse who also worked multiple jobs. When Pavia was 6, his mom lied about his age so he could play in a 7-year-old football league at the time. Pavia developed into a 3-sport athlete during his time at Volcano Vista High School, playing football, wrestling, and baseball. His family supported him and traveled to his games as he expressed gratitude for their sacrifices that allowed him to succeed in athletics. Pavia was a state wrestling champion. As we mentioned earlier, Pavia played in 3 sports for Volcano Vista High School: football, baseball, and wrestling. Even though Pavia chose the football route after high school, his wrestling background is a part of the reason why he's been incredible on the field. Pavia made the New Mexico State Finals 3 times as a wrestler and won one of those final appearances in 2020 in the 195-pound class. Pavia had a partial scholarship offer from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, but he ultimately chose to pursue football rather than take his talents on the wrestling mat. Pavia spoke about the potential of wrestling in Nebraska to the Albuquerque Journal, saying, "That wasn't where my heart was. I feel like if I would have wrestled, then I would have fallen out of love with the sport." No Division I offers while still in high school. During his time in high school, Pavia didn't receive any Division I offers from larger schools at the time due to scouts being concerned about his physical dimensions and his origin in a lower recruiting region. Pavia led his high school to an undefeated regular season with an 11-0 record during his senior year. Recruiters were scared of his traditional talents and his size. He eventually received a scholarship offer from 2 Division II schools, the Western Colorado Mountaineers and the Western New Mexico Mustangs. He began his collegiate career at the New Mexico Military Institute. Instead of accepting offers to play college football from Western Colorado and Western New Mexico, Pavia began his college football career at the New Mexico Military Institute, a public military junior college in Roswell, New Mexico. He thrived on the field for the New Mexico Military Institute Broncos, and his second year was truly spectacular. Pavia led the Broncos to the NCAA National Football Championship against Iowa Western, winning 31-13. He threw 2 touchdown passes and scored a rushing touchdown during that game. New Mexico State's head coach Jerry Kill and offensive coordinator Tim Beck watched the game from a Hooters with the intentions of offering Iowa Western's Nate Glantz a scholarship, but they immediately changed their minds when they saw Pavia's performance in that game. And with that, Pavia took his talents to Las Cruces and began playing for the New Mexico State Aggies for the 2022 season. Established himself as a starter at New Mexico State. Pavia's time at New Mexico State wasn't easy, as he really struggled in his early days with the Aggies. He was also in and out of the lineup with other quarterbacks, including Gavin Frakes. In his first game with the Aggies, Pavia threw 3 interceptions in a 23-12 loss against the Nevada Wolfpack and was benched. However, by the time the Aggies squared off against Liberty, Pavia was able to turn his bad luck around and completed 16 passes for 214 yards, throwing 3 touchdowns against no interceptions, rushing for 125 yards on 20 carries, and scoring 3 rushing touchdowns, helping the Aggies earn a 49-14 win over the Liberty Flames. Oh, and the Aggies were 24.5-point underdogs in that game. The Aggies finished the year with a 7-6 record and went on to win the Quick Lane Bowl 24-19 against Bowling Green. Pavia threw 2 touchdowns and an interception in that victory. He then pressed the gas pedal even further in the 2023 season, completing 221 passes for 2,973 yards, throwing 26 touchdowns against 9 interceptions, and leading the Aggies to their first 10-win season since 1960. Became an instant legend at Vanderbilt. Pavia entered the transfer portal originally about to play for the Nevada Wolfpack. However, New Mexico State's offensive coordinator Jerry Kill was hired to be Vanderbilt's offensive coordinator and called Pavia just a few minutes later. Pavia immediately flipped his commitment from Nevada to Vanderbilt. Pavia won the starting quarterback job over guys like Drew Dickley and Nate Johnson for the 2024 season. Now, the Vanderbilt Commodores weren't really known as an SEC powerhouse before Pavia's arrival. They were essentially just a doormat for other SEC teams to bully. However, once Pavia started his first game, things immediately changed for the Commodores. Tigers, opening up the season with 2 nice wins against Virginia Tech and Alcorn State. However, the most impressive game Pavia played in the 2024 season was the Alabama game, as he led the Commodores to a 40-35 upset win over the 1-seeded Alabama Crimson Tide. He led the Commodores to a 7-6 record and helped them win the Birmingham Bowl 35-27 against Georgia Tech. The 2025 season saw the Commodores earn a 10-3 record, as Pavia led the team to the Relia Quest Bowl, but lost a tough 34-27 battle against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Pavia was also a Heisman Trophy finalist before losing it to Fernando Mendoza. He sued the NCAA. During the 2024 season, Pavia filed an antitrust suit against the NCAA, challenging the rules to count junior college players towards 4-year NCAA eligibility. Pavia and his attorneys argued that counting junior college seasons as NCAA seasons violates the Sherman Antitrust Act, restricting players' abilities to compete and earn name, image, and likeness (NIL) money at the highest collegiate level. A federal judge in Tennessee granted Pavia a preliminary injunction that allowed him to play during the 2025 season, resulting in a broader NCAA blanket waiver for other JUCO transfers wanting that 4-year eligibility at the next level. Even though Pavia entered the 2026 NFL Draft, he continued the lawsuit as a class action lawsuit with 26 other plaintiffs, hoping to help other former JUCO players earn the same rights. Depending on this ruling, this could honestly change a whole lot, especially for Pavia and the 26 other plaintiffs, again, should they have success in court. Comparisons to Johnny Manziel. Pavia's performance on the field has been compared to Johnny Manziel's at Texas A&M, as they both have a magic maker sort of style. Both quarterbacks became household names by orchestrating massive upsets during the Alabama Crimson Tide during their time in college. Both Manziel and Pavia are undersized dual-threat quarterbacks who make plays with their legs, off-script scrambles, and high-risk throws. Off the field, Pavia has had his fair share of controversies, similar to Manziel, as a video surfaced of him peeing on the New Mexico Lobos logo in their practice facility in 2023. During a game against LSU, Pavia even mimicked Johnny Manziel's money gesture combined with a Heisman pose. He's also been criticized for poor sports behavior for posting F the voters and also partying at nightclubs in New York City and posting a sign that read F Indiana as a dig against the Indiana Hoosiers and Fernando Mendoza, who won the 2025 Heisman Trophy.
When you say F the voters, you were 400 first-place votes, I think, behind Fernando Mendoza.
Moves like that were very similar to Manziel's. However, Pavia apologized for his trashy messages towards Fernando Mendoza and the Hoosiers, but the damage is already done with some football fans. Manziel actually has been a mentor to Pavia and wants him to succeed and avoid making the same mistakes that he made when he first entered the NFL in 2014. Pavia also said that he and Manziel are actually friends, that the former 2012 Heisman Trophy winner has met his family, and that Manziel is actually a great person for those who don't know, per The Athletic. The first Heisman finalist to go undrafted since 2014. After the 2025 college football season, Pavia declared for the 2026 NFL Draft, but he ultimately went undrafted, despite being a Heisman Trophy finalist and winning the SEC Player of the Year award. Pavia was listed at 6 feet, but he measured under 5'10" and weighed 198 pounds at pre-draft events. Some NFL scouts expressed their concerns with Pavia's arm strength and the speed that is required by shorter quarterbacks. Scouts also expressed concerns about Pavia's off-the-field persona, as it wouldn't fly in the league, prompting teams to question whether to make him the face of their respective franchises. Former NFL safety Tyrann Mathieu said on a podcast that Pavia is too busy being a celebrity instead of focusing on football. Just 3 days after the NFL Draft concluded, Pavia signed a 3-year contract with the Baltimore Ravens, joining a roster that already has Lamar Jackson as their starter and Tyler Huntley as the backup. Pavia will have to compete for his roster spot before the regular season begins, and by no means is it a guarantee. Pavia has an underdog mentality. Throughout his football journey, Pavia has always had an underdog mentality for being overlooked for most of his football career. He was a 0-star recruit out of high school before deciding to take his talents to the New Mexico Military Institute instead of going to a Division II college, winning the NCAA championship in 2021, as we mentioned previously. After Pavia transferred to New Mexico State, scouts doubted his height and viewed him as a pawn that would attract higher-rated talent. On top of all that, Pavia has used that underdog mentality to turn college teams that he played for, like New Mexico State and Vanderbilt, into some serious winners. Again, New Mexico State was an afterthought before he arrived on campus, and Vanderbilt was a punching bag for stronger SEC teams before Pavia transferred there in 2024. If he earns a spot on the Baltimore Ravens roster or another roster in 2026, then he'll likely carry that underdog mentality to get a starting position in the near future. But all that said, we hope to see Pavia lead an NFL team to success when or if he becomes a starter. But what What other factoid about Pavia should we have included on this list? Was there anything notable that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.